Hello everyone, it's Nick here. I hope you are well, and it's a time for one of these vlogs where we chat, we talk about stuff, and you comment and I potentially answer. Yes, excellent. So it's a bit of a channel catch up each time. These it lets you know what's going on, and if you've got any comments as well, I'll take them on board. Now 2017 is well underway. We're coming near the end of January already, so we're almost 1/12 through. Hurrah! Now I did the manifesto video on the channel a few weeks back, so if you're interested to see what the aims going forward will be, then please have a look at that. Can't guarantee we'll cover all of those things I mentioned there, but the aim is to do so. Might have some other ideas going forward, or some things might not be possible, but you know how it is generally. Now I made a list of things I need to talk about because I can't remember them in my pea-brain mind. So let's have a look here. Oh yes, now I did a video recently. It was a Jet Set Willy Revisited series where, well, it was an individual video where, as you know, if you're a watcher of the channel, early on in time my sound wasn't particularly good as it is now, so we had another look at a re-review, if you like, of other Spectrum games I did when the channel first started or rebooted. The ZX Spectrum games are much more popular than, well, I wouldn't say much, they're more popular than all the other videos there, in particular PlayStation 3, the pinball videos and the PS4, although I like to keep a mixture there. And no doubt if the channel is just about Spectrum games on their own, we'll probably have about twice as many subscribers as we do now. But I think it's important when looking at retro gaming, compare it with the modern ones, to keep a mixture of stuff. Obviously I can't spread myself too thin because the systems I'm looking at, I want to give them a good go, so fans of those genres got enough. Now I did ask the question in that Jet Set Willy Revisited game I was doing, would you like to see more Spectrum games, quite foolishly, and the general opinion was of a few people, yes, they would like to see a few more. Now I have to be a little bit careful because running your channel, you're very limited for time, although I want to put up as much as I possibly can. If I do too much, then the quality might suffer and it might affect my my work because I go in tired and I'm not as good as I would be, and if I lose my job then it's all kapowie. So it's a bit of a balancing act. Now the ZX Spectrum games, because they tend to be a smaller file size, so there's not much going on there graphically, they seem to be the quickest to produce. So it's potential I might be able to do an extra one a week. I'm not guaranteeing it, but we'll have a go. If that happens, it'll be the week after the starting the 10th of February, because I seem to plan a bit in advance. Whenever someone mentions a Spectrum game I should be reviewing, or any game really, and in my own mind I write down ones I want to cover, I put them in a bit of a list. And so far I've got over 100 Spectrum games in the list, by far the longest out of all the systems I'm trying to cover. Just to put that in some sort of context, the channel's really rebooted about 3 years ago, or just over, and so far we covered just about over 200 Spectrum games, so quite a few. And I've got about over 100 on the list, probably 110, 112, so about half as many again. So we're not going to run out of any soon, and more keep getting added each week. So there we go. So we'll try and bring you more Spectrum games because that's what you want. So I'm duty bound to try and do that. But I'll try and cover other systems too. Now other people commented, I get this quite a lot really. Do you want to do the odd VIC-20 game? Do you want to do the odd Commodore 64 game? Is there like an investigative sort of one? Because before I've said I don't cover those systems because I never owned any of those systems and I don't know too much about them. Again, it's like a timing thing really. If I donate time to looking at systems I don't know about, then it takes away time I can do with, as I say, the extra Spectrum video or keeping the Amiga ones going. So I tend not to do that, and I've got no plans to do other systems really, just for a time point of view, and my nostalgia isn't really there. I'll leave that to other people to do that got knowledge. And also as well, when you make these videos, you do get the odd troll come along, or people give you a bit of a hard time saying you're rubbish at this game, you don't know, you didn't even own this system. And then, because I have owned the systems I cover, I've got a bit of strength to come back and say, yes, I did own it, but I didn't own this game. The channel isn't about that, it's about having fun, seeing how the game plays graphically and sound wise, which most people tend to get, but get an odd one. If I cover a VIC-20 game or a Commodore 64, I haven't got any of that, so I have to say, yeah, I don't know anything about this game. It takes away the authenticity, the nostalgia of the review. And I think with retro gaming, although it's nice to see these games, with retro gaming, I think that's the whole part of it. You need the nostalgia, or at least, although if you haven't played the game, you need some sort of like knowledge of the system, and that's just what I personally feel. So I keep to what I'm happy about. So sorry I won't be covering any Commodore 64s or VIC-21s, but that's just the way it is essentially. I want to donate much time to the ones I did own. It come up as well, Sega Mega Drive games, which I again, it's a system I didn't own, but it's possible, I'm not saying definite, it's possible I might be covering, because I had on the PlayStation 3 a Sega Mega Drive collection, which is that there, if you can see that. There are HD versions of the original Sega Mega Drive games there. There's over 40 on this CD, including Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2 and 3, Streets of Rage, which is very popular, 1, 2 and 3 as well, Echo the Dolphin 1 and 2, Shining Force 1 and 2, Golden Axe 1, 2 and 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Phantasy Star 1, 2 and 3 and 4, Alex Kidd, Shinobi 3, Columns, Altered Beast, which I covered on the Amiga, which wasn't very good, so hopefully it's better on this. Sonic's Spinball, which I covered on the Game Boy Advance. Kid Chameleon, Vector Man, there's some other great titles there as well. So it's potentially I look like at this at some point once the revisited series, which I'm going to eventually do on Commodore Amiga, has come to an end, so you might have a look at those as well. It's not a guarantee, it might happen, but things tend to change. Do you want me to review the games on this or miss it out? Let me know, because it'd be like Sega Mega Drive on the PlayStation 3, so they won't be exact recreations of the other games, because it says here they're in HD, but because I haven't played them before, I don't know. I know that rather contradicts what I've said about not doing VIC-20 Commodore 64 games, but it is on PlayStation 3, and I did play it quite a lot, so I know a bit about these games, although I don't know how they play on the Sega Mega Drive. Yes, there we go. So let me know what you think about that, really. Okay, now, I'm going to do a few PlayStation 3 games. If they're downloadable from the PSN store, I've got a bit of a chance because I can quickly download those. I doubt I'll be bidding or buying anything on eBay, because I fell out of love with eBay a few years ago when I thought some sellers couldn't be trusted. So a bargain isn't always a bargain, and a disc saying as good as new sometimes means scratched and doesn't work. So there you go, and then the seller disappears. So I know you should look at feedback before you buy, but you don't always do you really, essentially? But there's some other games I've been looking at, the minis, which I may or may not get. I probably will do eventually. I don't know when this is going to happen, June, July, or maybe after. There's Akari Warriors, which I've reviewed both on the ZX Spectrum and the Commodore Amiga. I think there's an arcade sort of version in the mini store. So that I might buy that. I think it's only at a few pounds. And also as well, a game I really loved on the Commodore Amiga in those days as Speedball 2. Now I'm sure nothing else can come close to Speedball 2. The Game Boy Advance version wasn't as good as the Amiga version in my opinion, but it is available as a mini. I think it's called Speedball 2 Evolution, which I think I played a bit on my phone. So it'll be interesting to see how it works on PlayStation 3. It boasts more players to select, more teams and more different arenas, but does that make a better game overall? I don't know. Speedball 2 on the Commodore Amiga, they had the difficulty level just right. There was knockouts and tournaments and 2 leagues, Super Nashwan, and it's like classic sounding names like that, essentially. Now, the last thing I want to come to, I think it was quite a while ago, maybe a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago now, we did a series of Q&A, like question and answer like sessions, where you ask me all sorts of questions and I run down them on a list. I'll say, such and such, Big Nose 55 asks, and then I give an answer. And some are about gaming, some are sort of like ridiculous, some about film, TV, what I think about stuff, and all that sort of jazz. And I did about 11 of those once every 2 weeks, and we started running out of questions. The questions started repeating, but I think it's time to have another one-off one. Okay, so if you've watched this far in the video, I've got to it eventually, Q&As. So in 2 weeks' time, I will do, if there's enough questions of course, I will do a Q&A session. So put your questions below on the bottom of this video, and I'll read them and write them down, and then unless they're really of a personal nature, which I can't answer, I will answer them. Now, in the past, I think I managed to read out about 99% of them. There was an occasional one I missed, and then we picked it up in the next Q&A. This is going to be a one-off Q&A, so put it clearly so I can understand it. A few questions I didn't answer as well, where I read it a couple of times, and I didn't understand what it meant, so I couldn't possibly answer it because I didn't know what it was saying. So, if English isn't your first language, or you struggle writing stuff down, after you put the question, read it back to see if it makes sense, because if it doesn't make sense to you, it probably won't make sense to me. But who knows? Hopefully we get a lot of good questions, keep them varied, and yeah, that's what we're going to do. In 2 weeks' time, we'll do a Q&A. So, hope you like watching that. I do appreciate you watching the channel. As I say, Spectrum's more popular. Amiga seems to be almost the same sort of thing when we cover a popular game. PlayStation 1 seems to be quite popular. I haven't covered too many of those recently, but just come into it again. So we might download and play a few more of those. And yeah, we'll keep it vibrant. But it's all about, as I always say on these, is easing stress. We work together. Retro gaming. I don't know what's going on in your life. Things is ups and downs. And we turn to gaming for a bit of nostalgia to make us feel good. So yeah. Excellent, let me be your friend. Or try to be. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, have a great weekend. Until next time, take care of yourself and a very warm goodbye.
Goodbye.